In the rugged heart of Montana, where mountains carve the sky and wilderness holds the memory of millennia, a story is etched not in books, but in stone. Here, deep within a remote and untamed landscape, a secret lay dormant for centuries, concealed beneath a shroud of fallen timber and the quiet accumulation of seasons. It is an anomaly, a structure that seems to defy the very narrative of this continent. It began as a simple act of clearing land. The owners, Christopher Borton and Linda Welsh, had no notion of what lay beneath the forest floor. But as the earth was peeled back, something impossible emerged. A wall. Not a rustic fence of fieldstone, but a colossal alignment of granite blocks stretching across the terrain in a perfectly straight line. Its scale is staggering. The structure rises 25 feet above the ground, extending for 275 feet. Yet seismic studies suggest its true foundation lies a further 15 feet below the surface, a silent testament to its immense scope. The blocks themselves are behemoths of geology, some weighing as much as 91 tons, intricately a stacked enigma. Granite, a notoriously hard igneous rock, does not naturally cleave into consistent 90-degree angles and precise corners. Yet here they are, shaped with a precision that seems to speak of intention, of design. This singular feature places the wall in a category of its own, echoing the megalithic wonders of Peru, of Egypt, of ancient sites scattered across the globe. Independent researcher Michael Collins, drawn to the mystery, documented its features with astonishment. He found not only the stark, linear perfection of the main structure, but also large channels and additional walls, all composed of tightly fitted stones, all adhering to the same exacting geometry. And then there are the knobs. Studying the surfaces of these massive stones are enigmatic protrusions, features found on megalithic structures thousands of miles away. Archaeologists have long debated the program, or did they serve some other forgotten function? To find these same markers here in the Montana wilderness suggests a connection that history cannot explain, a shared technology or tradition that transcends oceans and epochs. The wall asks a profound question. Is it a breathtaking fluke of nature, a geological marvel that mimics intelligent design? Or is it the last surviving signature of a lost civilization, an advanced culture that rose and fell on this land, leaving behind only this silent, imposing riddle? The stones offer no easy answers. They stand as a monument to the unknown, a fracture in our accepted timeline, reminding us that the Earth still holds secrets far older and stranger than we can possibly imagine. In the rugged heartlands of North America, etched into the ancient landscape, lie stones that refuse to conform to the simple narratives of geology. They bear the marks of intention, deliberate cuts and clean grooves that echo the forgotten techniques of master masons. The first impression is not one of nature's random artistry, but of a colossal prehistoric complex, its grandeur now surrendered to millennia of collapse and erosion, its secrets veiled by the patient encroachment of time. High above what has come to be known as the Sage Wall, the mountain itself seems to have been engineered. Smooth, impossibly straight channels cascade down the slopes, their surfaces so uniform they resemble polished concrete veins coursing through the wild terrain. They defy the chaotic logic of natural water runoff. A tantalizing question emerges. Could these be the remnants of sophisticated water channels, engineered by ancient hands to quench the thirst of a forgotten settlement, or to serve some long-lost ceremonial purpose? The mystery deepens underfoot. Across the region, countless stones are pockmarked with enigmatic round cavities, formations known to archaeologists as cup marks. These markings represent one of the oldest and most widespread forms of rock art on the planet, a silent, universal language from the dawn of human consciousness. While their precise function remains one of archaeology's most persistent enigmas, theories range from celestial maps to ritual basins. Their dense concentration here weaves another thread into the site's complex tapestry of anomalies. As whispers of this strange place turned into a roar of academic and public curiosity, the landowners took a decisive step. They summoned a team of scientists, a convergence of geologists and archaeologists, armed with the tools to see beyond the surface. Using ground-penetrating radar to send pulses deep into the earth and magnetic susceptibility testing to read the story of the rocks themselves, they began to peel back the layers of the enigma. What they uncovered was startling. The massive granite blocks of the wall exhibited a powerful and unusual level of magnetism. Magnets, brought to the site as a simple test, would cling tenaciously to the sheer vertical faces, a trait profoundly uncommon for natural granite formations. This suggested the stones may have been subjected to extreme heat or possess a me from the radar. Beneath the visible wall, the scans painted a picture of a perfectly flat, extensive foundation. It was not the jagged, uneven bedrock of a natural mountain, but the unmistakable footprint of deliberate, methodical construction. Could these converging lines of evidence point to a single, revolutionary conclusion? That this was not a geological quirk, but a structure engineered by a people who possessed an advanced, and perhaps now lost, understanding of physics, geology, and construction. The site's growing notoriety soon attracted the attention of Dr. Semir Osmanagic, a researcher renowned for his provocative work on the alleged Bosnian pyramids. After a meticulous on-site investigation, his conclusion was unambiguous. The complex was almost certainly man-made. He identified a crucial piece of evidence hidden in plain sight: the wall's orientation. It is aligned with breathtaking precision to face the rising sun on the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year. This is no accident. It is a shared characteristic of countless megalithic sites across the globe, from Newgrange to Stonehenge, a clear signature of a culture deeply attuned to the rhythms of the cosmos. This astronomical alignment prompted Osmanagic to propose a timeline that radically challenges conventional history. He suggested the wall might predate the end of the last ice age, a relic from over 11,700 years ago. If true, the builders would have been a people of staggering sophistication, thriving in a world we can barely imagine, possessing a technological prowess that has since vanished from the annals of history. The wall's very location adds a layer of strategic intrigue. It stands directly astride the ancient migration corridors that served as a gateway between Asia and North America. It occupies the precise path that opened between the colossal Cordilleran and Laurentide ice sheets as they retreated, a vital channel for the first peoples of the continent. The land itself is rich in resources, home to significant mineral deposits, including the largest quartz crystal ever discovered in Montana. Was this structure a beacon, a fortress, a ceremonial center marking an essential stop for humanity's great prehistoric expansion. Yet, if this wall is but one component of a massive, forgotten civilization, logic dictates that other, similar structures must exist nearby. And indeed, they do. In the surrounding vicinity, another formation has been discovered, the Tisa dolmen. Its form is instantly recognizable to students of ancient Histo-Asia. A colossal horizontal capstone, weighing many tons, rests upon several vertical support stones, creating a solemn chamber beneath. Here, too, Dr. Osmanagic noted that the stones fracture along vertical planes, a pattern of cleavage rarely, if ever, seen in natural geological processes. Could this be the corroborating evidence? Another piece of a continent-spanning puzzle, hinting at a lost chapter in the human story of North America. The stones do not offer easy answers. They stand silent, weathered by ages, holding their secrets close. They are more than just rock and mineral. They are a challenge to our perception of the past, a testament to the possibility that the world of our ancestors was far more complex and mysterious than we have ever allowed ourselves to believe. The story is not finished. It is merely waiting for us to learn how to read the language written in stone. In a landscape carved by time, a formation of stone stands in silent judgment of our understanding. Here, it is proposed, colossal stones were not born upright, but were first formed horizontally. Vast geological pages in the Earth's crust, only to be lifted, turned, and reoriented by an unknown force to create the structure we see today. The eye is drawn to the capstone, a monolithic crown placed with a precision that seems to mock the chaotic hand of natural forces, its deliberate stir-builder. Investigator Michael Collins, tracing patterns across continents, noted haunting similarities between this wall and the ancient Tisa dolmen, a world away. He saw a shared language of stone, enigmatic knobs protruding from the surface, perfectly drilled holes that defy simple explanation, and strange linear marks that score the rock face. Are these the scars of erosion, or the deliberate signature of a stonemason's tool? Could these features be a lexicon of a forgotten technology, a testament to a man-made design that history has failed to record? Yet, for every argument for human artifice, a powerful counter-narrative emerges from the Earth itself. Author and explorer Timothy Alberino, after an exhaustive analysis, argues for a different creator, the planet. He contends that this is a purely natural masterpiece, the result of immense volcanic and tectonic pressures that shattered and reshaped the very bedrock. He points to the fissures that cleave the wall, observing how they begin at the base and spiderweb. More damning, perhaps, is the silence. Around a site of such monumental effort, one would expect to find the echoes of its creators, the discarded tools, the shattered pottery, the buried hearths and signs of human habitation that invariably accompany ancient construction. Here, there is nothing. The archaeological record is starkly, unnervingly empty. This geological explanation finds a champion in Dr. Stuart Parker. He explains that the peculiar knobs are not man-made, but are the predictable outcome of differential erosion. Over countless millennia, wind and water act as patient sculptors, scouring away softer layers of rock while leaving the harder, more resilient sections behind as protrusions. The crevices and fissures, he notes, are entirely consistent with the natural geological processes of fracturing and weathering. The wall, in his view, is a geological illusion, a trick of the light and the mind. If this is indeed nature's handiwork, how do we account for its uncanny resemblance to megalithic structures found across the globe? The debate rages, a chasm between two irreconcilable truths. Is this place a relic of a forgotten, impossibly advanced civilization? Or is it a remarkable fluke of geology that mimics human design so perfectly as to deceive us? This profound uncertainty, this clash between what seems possible and what stands before us, is not an isolated riddle. Across the globe, other stone sentinels pose the same fundamental question. To find a more staggering and perhaps more famous example, we must travel south, across the equator, to the roof of the world. High in the Peruvian Andes, where the air grows thin and history feels close enough to touch, the ancient fortress of Sacsayhuaman guards the approach to Cusco. It is a citadel built for giants, a marvel of engineering that strains the very limits of belief. Here, colossal walls zigzag across the landscape, constructed from monolithic blocks of andesite, some weighing more than 100 tons, a few estimated at over 300. They are stacked and fitted with a precision that modern machinery would struggle to replicate. These are not simple, quarried bricks. They are complex, polygonal behemoths, some with more than a dozen interlocking angles, fit together so perfectly that not even a sheet of paper can be forced into the seams. How did a civilization, believed to possess only bronze tools and rope, quarry these stones, transport them over miles of treacherous mountain terrain, and lift them into place with such flawless accuracy? The official histories offer theories, but they feel inadequate, whispered against the thundering silence of the stones themselves. We are left to wonder at forgotten techniques, at a lost science of construction. Was it a knowledge of advanced leverage and manpower on a scale we cannot comprehend? Or was it something more, something that borders on the mythical? The fortress is also a celestial map. Its design incorporates precise astronomical alignments, connecting it to the solstices, the equinoxes, and the cosmic cycles that govern the lives of its builders. It is at once a bastion of war and a temple of the heavens. These structures, whether in the remote wilderness or overlooking an ancient capital, are more than just architectural puzzles. They are challenges to the narrative of our own past. They suggest that the linear progression of human knowledge is a fragile concept, and that there may have been peaks of ingenuity so high and so ancient that they have been eroded from our collective memory, leaving only these impossible, magnificent ruins behind. They stand as a testament not to what we know, but to the vast, humbling expanse of what we have yet to understand. In the vast, sun-scorched plains of what is now Pakistan, history itself lay buried and forgotten. For millennia, the earth kept its counsel, concealing a civilization so immense, so sophisticated, that its very existence had been erased from human memory. Its rediscovery was not the culmination of a deliberate quest, but a matter of pure chance, an accidental encounter with a ghost. As the iron spine of the British Raj, the railway, pushed its way across the landscape, engineers plundering the ground for ballast stumbled upon a trove of ancient, uniformly sized bricks. They were old, but their quality was undeniable. Little did they know, they were dismantling the foundations of a lost world. This was the first whisper from the Indus Valley civilization, a sprawling society that had flourished 5,000 years ago, a contemporary to the grand empires of Egypt and Mesopotamia, yet utterly unknown. And with the ruins came a profound enigma, a language captured in a fully developed written script etched onto thousands of tiny seals and amulets. But these elegant symbols hold their secrets fast. To this day, not a single Rosetta Stone, no bilingual key, has ever been found to unlock their meaning. It is a vast library of a lost people, and we remain illiterate, standing outside its locked doors. It poses a chilling question about the permanence of knowledge. If one wishes to pass wisdom to a distant future, to ensure it survives the erosion of ages, perhaps writing it down is not enough. Deep within this silent empire lies its most haunting testament, Mohenjo-Daro. The name, in the local Sindhi tongue, means the Mound of the Dead, a name given by a people who lived for centuries atop the ruins, unaware of the metropolis that slept beneath their feet. Here, a city of staggering complexity was unearthed, a masterpiece of prehistoric urban planning that forces us to reconsider the very timeline of civilization on the subcontinent. For with its discovery, the history of organized society in India was pushed back by thousands of years, revealing a chapter previously thought to be blank. To walk its ghostly streets is to witness an order and foresight that feels impossibly modern. This was no chaotic assembly of dwellings, but a meticulously planned grid. Its arteries were wide, straight avenues, intersected by smaller lanes, all oriented to the cardinal directions. Beneath these streets ran one of history's first and most sophisticated urban sanitation systems. Covered drains, crafted from baked brick, carried waste away from the houses, flowing into larger sewers complete with manholes for maintenance. Homes, many rising to 2 stories, were equipped with private bathing areas and latrines, a level of civic hygiene that would not be seen again in the region for another 4,000 years. At its heart stood the Citadel, a raised platform dominated by the iconic Great Bath, a sunken, brick-lined pool waterproofed with bitumen, whose ritual purpose we can only guess at. The official unearthing of this silent world began in the year 1922. An officer of the Archaeological Survey of India, Rakhaldas Bandyopadhyay, was investigating what he believed to be a much later Buddhist stupa in the Larkana district. As he excavated around the mound, he began to find artifacts that did not belong, distinctive seals and pottery that were far older than any Buddhist settlement. He was peeling back the layers of time and realizing that the mound was not just a monument, but a tomb for something far grander. It was this initial find that triggered a full-scale investigation. 2 years later, in 1924, under the direction of Sir John Marshall, a massive archaeological effort commenced. He and his deputy, Ernest Mackay, oversaw the methodical excavation that revealed the city's true scale. They uncovered not just buildings, but a society, a people who valued order, hygiene, and trade, yet left behind no opulent palaces for kings, no grandiose temples to fearsome gods, no monumental statues of rulers. Theirs was a power expressed not through gold and grandeur, but through the quiet genius of civic engineering. We are now a century past its discovery, yet we are still just touching the edge of this immense mystery. What has been excavated is but a fraction of what remains buried. Each new season of digging poses more questions than it answers. Who were these people? What did they believe? And why, after nearly 1,000 years of stability, did they simply vanish? The script remains silent. The Mound of the Dead guards its secrets, and we are left to wander the streets of a civilization that achieved a form of modernity, only to be utterly consumed by time, leaving behind a profound and humbling silence. Beneath the dust of millennia, in the arid plains of what is now Pakistan, lay the ghost of a civilization. For centuries, its existence was a mere whisper, a local legend of a mound of the dead. It was a civilization lost not just to memory, but to history itself. Then, in the early 20th century, the shovels of archaeologists broke the silence, and the earth began to give up its secrets. What their efforts unveiled was not a primitive settlement, but an urban masterpiece. A city with a meticulously planned layout, its streets running in a precise grid. A metropolis of kiln-fired brick houses, vast public granaries, and baths of a scale that defied belief. It was a silent testament to a highly organized, startlingly sophisticated society. The excavation methods, pioneered under the direction of Sir John Marshall, were remarkably methodical for their time. The team imposed a grid-based system of trench digging, a geometric discipline laid over the ancient chaos. This allowed them to peel back the layers of time with unparalleled clarity, revealing the city's blueprint section by section. Marshall, understanding the fleeting nature of discovery, emphasized the absolute necessity of photography and meticulous on-site notes. Every artifact, every wall, every shard of pottery was to be documented, its context captured before it was lost to the open air forever. This was not treasure hunting. It was the careful reconstruction of a forgotten world. Among the most remarkable discoveries, one structure stood apart: the Great Bath. A colossal sunken pool constructed with masterful precision from bricks and sealed with natural tar. It suggested a purpose beyond Merint for a community whose spiritual beliefs remain an enigma. Yet, this sacred space existed alongside a profoundly practical achievement: a sophisticated sewage and drainage system. Covered channels ran beneath the main streets, connecting individual homes to a citywide network. It was a marvel of urban planning that highlighted an acute awareness of public health and sanitation, a level of foresight that would not be seen again for thousands of years. In the year 1947, the seismic geopolitical shift of the partition of India redrew the map. Mohenjo-daro, the mound of the dead, found itself within the borders of the newly formed nation of Pakistan. This marked a new chapter in its rediscovery. During the 1950s and 1960s, excavations were led by the distinguished Pakistani archaeologist Dr. Ahmad Hassan Dani. His work was a descent, a careful journey into the city's deeper, older past. He and his teams helped to uncover the lower, foundational layers of the metropolis, exploring residential districts that had been left untouched by earlier expeditions, searching for the city's origins. These later excavations shifted their focus from the monumental to the mundane, seeking to understand the daily pulse of life within these ancient walls. The earth yielded a treasure trove of artifacts, pottery of elegant design, finely crafted tools, and personal ornaments that spoke of a sense of beauty and identity. Each object provided a precious insight into the activities of the inhabitants, their complex trade practices that connected them to Mesopotamia and beyond, and the subtle textures of their cultural life. As the science of archaeology itself evolved, so too did the methods used at the site. Modern techniques, including stratigraphic analysis, were incorporated, allowing for a far more accurate dating of the city's many layers of occupation. Archaeologists could now, a delicate science aimed at preserving the fragile artifacts and building materials, being exposed to the elements after an eternity of slumber. From the 1970s onwards, the primary mission changed. The relentless digging slowed, and the focus shifted dramatically towards preservation. The city, having survived for 4 millennia, now faced an onslaught of modern threats. Corrosive salinity from the rising water table, relentless waterlogging, and the simple, steady deterioration of ancient materials threatened to erase what had been so painstakingly revealed. In recognition of its irreplaceable universal value and the urgent need for its protection, Mohenjo-Daro was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1980. This designation brought international attention and crucial funding, marshalling a global effort to protect this window into the dawn of urban life. The city itself, constructed between roughly 2600 and 1900 BCE, remains an architectural marvel. Spanning an area of at least 1.5 square kilometers, with some estimates suggesting a far greater expanse, it was a sprawling metropolis. Its design reflects a level of sophistication and scale that is simply astounding for its age. As a critical hub of the Indus Valley civilization, it offers profound insights into the genesis of urban planning. Here, we see the first stirrings of the architectural logic that would shape cities for millennia to come. Yet, for all we have uncovered, the ordered streets, the advanced plumbing, the silent, imposing citadel, the people themselves remain phantoms. We do not know what they called their magnificent city. Their script remains undeciphered, their voices lost to time. Mohenjo-Daro stands as a powerful, humbling reminder that even the greatest of societies can vanish, leaving behind only questions written in brick and dust. From the dust of the Indus Valley, a ghost of a city emerges. At its zenith, it sprawled across more than 5 square kilometers, a silent testament to a civilization that, for its time, had few equals. This was Mohenjo-Daro, the mound of the dead men, a metropolis born not of haphazard growth, but of a singular, preconceived vision. Its design was an exercise in pure geometry, a meticulously engineered grid with avenues running true north to south and east to west, sliced the urban expanse into orderly, rectilinear blocks. This was more than mere organization. It was a statement of control, a philosophy of order imposed upon the landscape. The city was cleaved into 2 distinct realms, a formidable, vibrant heart of civic life. Here, in these carefully delineated streets, the urban planner's profound grasp of design principles is laid bare for the ages. Within this rigid framework, the residential blocks were a marvel of regulated development. From the street, they presented a facade of uniformity, a controlled and harmonious appearance suggesting strict adherence to municipal codes. Yet behind these walls lay a sophisticated understanding of human need. Each dwelling, no matter its size, was granted direct access to a revolutionary innovation, a public street-side drainage system. This subterranean marvel was extraordinarily advanced, a feature that would not seem out of place in a modern city. The system was a complex network, an urban circulatory system, hidden from view. Individual drainage pits from each and every house fed into larger, covered channels lining the main thoroughfares. This was sanitary engineering of the highest order, a clear prioritization of public health and hygiene on a scale unprecedented in the 3rd millennium BCE. Constructed from durable, baked brick and sealed with gypsum mortar, these drains were built to last. At regular intervals, Manholes provided access for maintenance, a clear indication that this was not a static creation, but a living system designed for long-term function. Here, in the careful slope of a channel and the precise fit of a lid, is an answer to an eternal question. Knowledge, once gained, can indeed echo through the ages, preserved not in texts, but in fired clay and stone. The very building blocks of Mohenjo-Daro tell a story of ingenuity and resource management. The city was built primarily from mud brick, sun-dried for general construction, but fired in kilns for structures requiring greater resilience. These impervious baked bricks were reserved for the city's most vital infrastructure, the baths and, of course, the intricate drainage channels, where they could better withstand the constant assault of moisture. The architecture itself reveals a complex social fabric. Homes ranged from humble single-room dwellings to grand multi-story buildings, their varying sizes painting a picture of a society with clear socio-economic diversity. A typical house was designed around a central courtyard, an architectural feature that ingeniously provided light and ventilation to the surrounding rooms, creating a private, airy sanctuary from the bustling city outside. Some of the larger residences boasted 2 or perhaps even 3 stories, their now vanished upper floors hinting at the prosperity of their owners. Across this vast city, an astonishing degree of standardization prevailed. Bricks were manufactured to a consistent size, typically measuring 7 by 14 by 28 centimeters. This uniformity was no accident. It strongly suggests a centralized system for the production and distribution of building materials, a level of economic organization that speaks to a powerful governing authority. The raw material, clay, was abundant in the fertile Indus region, but for special projects, for the great public buildings that anchored the city, materials were sourced from much farther afield. Massive stones, alien to the local geology, were quarried and transported over great distances, a feat of logistics that underscores the reach and power of this enigmatic civilization. When we place Mohenjo-Daro alongside its contemporary, the Egypt of the Old Kingdom, a profound divergence in civilizational philosophy reveals itself. The pharaohs of the Nile poured their resources into monumental structures that reached for the heavens. Their pyramids, built from colossal stone blocks hewn from distant quarries at Tura and Aswan, were tombs for god-kings, designed to conquer eternity. The people of the Indus, however, invested their genius on the ground. They excelled in creating a functional, equitable urban landscape that prioritized civic amenities, public health, and residential comfort for its populace. The city's legacy, therefore, is not one of towering monuments to individuals, but of a collective, sophisticated approach to urban living. The archaeological record is rich with extraordinary artifacts that shed light on their culture, but the city itself is perhaps the greatest artifact of all. It is a blueprint of a society that valued order, health, and community. The great pyramids of Egypt speak of power, of eternity, of a dialogue with the gods. But Mohenjo-Daro speaks of something else, something quieter, yet perhaps more resonant. It whispers a different definition of immortality, one found not in monuments to the few, but in the well-being of the many. From the silent dust of the Indus Valley, the physical evidence of a lost world continues to emerge, each artifact a quiet challenge to the oblivion of time. Among these relics, a figure of astonishing delicacy offers a glimpse into the soul of its creators. She is known only as the Dancing Girl, a bronze statuette a mere 10.5 centimeters tall. yet she possesses a presence that defies her scale. Frozen in a moment of defiant grace, she is a young woman, her body poised in a confident, naturalistic posture. One arm rests on a jutting hip, the other hangs loose, a study in casual elegance. Her hair is a cascade of intricate coils, her neck and arms adorned with bangles that speak of a sophisticated aesthetic. This is not merely an object of beauty, it is a testament to an astonishing mastery of metallurgy, a rare survivor cast using the advanced lost wax technique, revealing a command of fire and form that was unparalleled for its era. If the girl speaks of life and movement, another figure whispers of order and authority. Carved from soft steatite and standing 17.5 centimeters, the so-called priest king exudes an aura of immense gravity. He is a seated male figure, draped in a robe intricately engraved with a trefoil pattern, a symbol that echoes across ancient civilizations. A simple fillet binds his hair, while his eyes are half closed, suggesting a state of serene, inward-looking meditation. The beard is trimmed with a precision that speaks of a culture that valued meticulous grooming and ritual. Scholars debate his identity. Is this a portrait of a specific ruler, or does he represent something more profound? Perhaps he is the embodiment of an ideal, a fusion of temporal rule and divine sanction, a leader not of men alone, but of a sacred cosmic order. But the most profound statements of this civilization were not held in the hand. They were built on a monumental scale, etched into the very landscape of the city. At the heart of Mohenjo-Daro's citadel mound lies an architectural marvel, the Great Bath. It is a vast, sunken pool measuring nearly 12 meters by 7 and ascending to a depth of almost 2.5 meters. Its construction is a lesson in hydraulic genius. Fired bricks, fitted with a watchmaker's precision, are sealed with a thick layer of natural bitumen, rendering the entire structure perfectly waterproof, an engineering feat of the highest order. This was no simple public pool. Steps descend into the basin from 2 sides, inviting a slow, deliberate entry. It is believed the Great Bath was the epicenter of the city's spiritual life, a place for ritual purification on a grand communal scale. Fed by a nearby well and drained by an ingenious outlet, it represents a sophisticated system of water management, the lifeblood of their society. Centuries later, the Romans would also build great baths as centers of social and ritual life. But where Rome celebrated technological excess, with heated floors and steam rooms, Mohenjo-Daro's bath speaks of a different purpose. It is a singular, solemn space, dedicated not to leisure, but to a profound, shared spiritual experience. This mastery over water may have been the very source of the city's power. A compelling theory suggests that Mohenjo-Daro was more than a city. It was the religious and administrative hub for a vast network of irrigation canals that fed the entire region. It proposes a society governed by a leadership class, perhaps symbolized by the stoic priest-king, who wielded authority not through armies, but through the sacred control of water itself. The evidence remains fragmentary, the script undeciphered. Mohenjo-Daro does not shout its secrets. Instead, it offers whispers, in the defiant posture of a bronze girl, the serene gaze of a stone king, and the still, deep waters of its great bath. It reminds us that a civilization's true legacy is not always found in its written histories, but in the enduring power of what it chose to build and what it chose to revere. Across the vast and silent stage of history, they rose. Monuments born not of necessity, but of ambition. Testaments to civilizations that sought to carve their legacy into the very fabric of the earth, to challenge the heavens and defy the slow erosion of time. But permanence is an illusion. What happens when these titans fall? When the stone that was meant to be eternal crumbles, and the legends they anchored fade into the unfeeling wind? We are left to stand in the long shadows of vanished wonders, haunted by the profound silence of what once was. Imagine the grandeur of Babylon, its ziggurats of sun-baked brick clawing at the Mesopotamian sky, a metropolis pulsing with the energy of empire, now reduced to dust and whispers. Or picture Aksum in the highlands of ancient Ethiopia, its colossal monolithic stelae standing as silent granite sentinels. Their true purpose and the precise moment of their decline remain shrouded in the mists of antiquity. Each ruin is a fractured piece of a grand, unfinished mosaic. What cataclysmic shudder of the earth, what forgotten war, what subtle, inexorable shift in climate or commerce could have brought such magnificent structures to their knees? The stones themselves hold the secrets, if only we can learn to read them. Our journey begins where the desert itself became a canvas, in the rose-red canyons of modern-day Jordan. Here, the ancient city of Petra was not built, but born from the living rock. It was the masterwork of the Nabateans, a civilization whose genius lay not only in architecture, but in the command of life's most precious element, water. In this arid wilderness, they became masters of hydrology, engineering a network of dams, cisterns, and channels that allowed a thriving metropolis to bloom. Petra became a vital nexus of commerce, a crossroads for the caravans carrying frankincense, myrrh, and spices from Arabia to the Mediterranean. Its intricate facades, its vast monastery, and its iconic treasury were not mere buildings, but declarations of wealth and power carved into the blush-pink sandstone. Then, in the year 363, the earth itself, the very foundation of their world, rebelled. A devastating earthquake tore through the city, toppling columns and shattering the delicate fretwork of their tombs. The quake was a mortal blow, yet it does not tell the whole story. The city lingered, wounded but alive. The ultimate reasons for its complete abandonment remain a subject of intense debate. Perhaps the shifting of global trade routes rendered its position obsolete. Perhaps the changing climate made its intricate water systems untenable. For centuries, Petra lay forgotten by the outside world, a ghost city sleeping within its protective canyon walls. It was not until 1812 that the Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt, disguised as a local, coaxed guides to lead him to the fabled Lost City, bringing its breathtaking beauty back into the consciousness of the world. From a city hidden within the earth, we travel to one that reached for the sky. In the heart of ancient Ethiopia, the kingdom of Aksum proclaimed its might through stone. Here, towering obelisks, or stelae, were hewn from single solid blocks of granite, monuments to a civilization that stood as one of the four great powers of its age, alongside Rome, Persia, and China. The most impressive of these, the great stelae of Aksum, soared to a height of 24 meters and weighed a staggering 160 tons. They were cosmic markers for vast underground burial chambers, with the largest and most ornate reserved for royalty. Their surfaces were intricately decorated with the carvings of false doors and windows, symbolic portals between the world of the living and the eternal realm of the dead. Yet today, many of these giants lie broken. The Great Stele, the most ambitious of them all, lies in a heap of colossal fragments, a testament to a catastrophe. But what was it? Did the ground, unable to support such concentrated weight, betray the engineers? Was there a fatal, unseen flaw within the granite itself, a weakness that succumbed to the stress of millennia? Or was their destruction a deliberate act, a later dynasty or a rival faith tearing them down in an act of iconoclasm, seeking to erase the memory of the kings who lay beneath? The shattered granite offers no easy answers, leaving only a riddle of unimaginable weight and scale. These fallen giants, from the carved halls of Petra to the toppled spires of Aksum, speak to a fundamental truth. They are the high watermarks of human aspiration, symbols of our eternal quest to build something that outlasts us. Yet in their ruin, they teach a more humbling lesson. They remind us, won or by gold, but are carried forward only by memory. And perhaps the true purpose of these ruins is not to give us answers about the past, but to pose eternal questions about our own future, and what will remain when our own titans eventually fall silent. The answer remains elusive, a whisper carried on the desert wind. It transports us to the ghost of a legendary city, to Babylon, the jewel of ancient Mesopotamia. Here, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, rose a metropolis of sun-scorched brick and unparalleled ambition. A bustling hive of more than 200,000 souls, its name was a byword for splendor and sin, a center of science, culture, and power that commanded the known world. Its architectural wonders were the stuff of legend, etched into the memory of civilization itself. The Hanging Gardens, a green miracle cascading down terraces in an arid land, a paradise built for a homesick queen. The Ishtar Gate, a breathtaking portal of lapis lazuli blue, guarded by silent dragons and bulls of glazed brick. And soaring above all, the great ziggurat, the Tower of Babel, reaching defiantly for the heavens. For centuries, Babylon's grandeur was immortalized in the chronicles of historians and the cautionary tales of prophets. But the axis of the world is forever shifting. After ages of dominance, the great city fell under the sway of one empire after another. Its magnificent structures, once the envy of kings, were gradually cannibalized, abandoned, or simply surrendered to the relentless march of time. While scholars point to the cold logic of political instability and the rerouting of vital trade routes, a deeper question haunts the ruins. What precise series of events, what final acts of man or God brought these iconic landmarks to dust? The silence of the sand offers no simple reply. From an empire consumed by sand, our search carries us across the sea to the island of Rhodes, where a different kind of ambition once greeted the dawn. Here stood the Colossus, a titan of bronze, forged in the image of the sun god Helios. This colossal monument, standing over 30 meters tall, was no mere idol. It was a declaration of victory, a testament to the Rhodians' triumph over the invading armies of Demetrius, the first of Macedon. For a brief, brilliant period, it held the distinction of being the tallest statue in the ancient world, its burnished skin catching the first and last light of day, a guardian at the mouth of the harbor. For generations, the Colossus stood as an unyielding symbol of Rhodian power and resilience. Its reign, however, was cut brutally short. In 226 BC, The earth convulsed. A devastating earthquake shook the island to its foundations, and with a groan of tortured metal, the giant snapped at its knees. The god of the sun came crashing down to earth. For centuries, its vast, fractured limbs lay where they fell, a tourist attraction and a humbling reminder of nature's power. While the earthquake is the undisputed cause of its demise, a profound mystery lingers. The Rhodians, a proud and wealthy people, chose never to rebuild their magnificent wonder, citing the warning of an oracle. Was it piety that stayed their hand, or had the fall of their god shattered something deeper, their very confidence? Our quest leads us back to the coast of Egypt, to the city of Alexandria, a beacon of learning and commerce founded by Alexander the Great. Here, on the island of Pharos, another wonder pierced the sky, the legendary lighthouse. For over 1,500 years, this towering structure guided sailors safely into the harbor of the world's greatest library. It was a masterpiece of engineering, its intricate design featuring a great mirror that, by day, could flash the sun's rays for miles, and by night reflected the light of a colossal bonfire. It was more than a navigational aid. It was a symbol of the illumination and scientific prowess of the Hellenistic age. But even the most enduring flame must eventually flicker and die. The lighthouse's fate was sealed not by a single cataclysm, but by a slow, agonizing decline. A series of powerful earthquakes, striking over centuries, weakened its mighty foundations, toppling its upper tiers. Yet it was a human decision that delivered the final blow. In the year 1480, the Sultan of Egypt, needing to fortify the coast, saw not a fallen wonder, but a convenient quarry. The last of the lighthouse's stones were repurposed, its legacy absorbed into the walls of a new citadel. The circumstances of this final act of erasure, the choice to build a fort from the bones of a legend, remain a stark testament to the unsentimental currents of history. Our final echo comes from Halicarnassus in present-day Turkey, where a wonder was built not for a god or a city, but for a man. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus stood as an astonishing testament to love and architectural grandeur. This elaborate tomb, built for Mausolus, a satrap in the Persian Empire, by his grief-stricken wife and sister, Artemisia II of Caria, was a vision in white marble. Adorned with intricate sculptures and reliefs crafted by the greatest Greek artists of the age, its beauty was so profound, so utterly breathtaking, that it gave its name to a... Its splendor, however, proved as mortal as series of earthquakes, striking between the 12th and 15th centuries, shattered its columns and sent its magnificent statues tumbling. The stones of this monument to eternal love were later carried away by knights to build a castle, its artistry scattered to the winds. From Babylon to Rhodes, from Alexandria to Halicarnassus, the story is one of breathtaking creation and inevitable decay. These wonders were brought down by war, by the tremors of the earth, and by the simple, relentless passage of time. Yet their destruction has ensured their immortality, for they no longer exist in the fragile realm of stone and bronze, but in the boundless territory of the human imagination, a place where they can never truly fall. Between the 12th and 15th centuries, the very ground of Anatolia shuddered. The tectonic plates, indifferent to human ambition, shifted with catastrophic force. In a series of violent convulsions, they brought one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world crashing down, leaving behind only a phantom limb of history, a ghostly echo in stone. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus, a tomb so magnificent it gave its name to a dare, are the primary culprit. A deeper mystery endures. The complete and utter obliteration of the structure suggests a story more complex than geological fate alone, a tale of decay and scavenging that has been lost to the silence of the ages. From a wonder undone by nature, we journey into the realm of myth, to a marvel that may have only ever existed in the human mind. In the ancient city of Babylon, history whispers of an impossible creation, the Hanging Gardens. Legend tells us they were an act of love, built by King Nebuchadnezzar II for his homesick wife, Amytis, who longed for the green hills of her native Medea. Ancient texts paint a breathtaking portrait of this verdant paradise, a mountain of mud brick, ingeniously waterproofed with bitumen and lead, supporting a cascade of terraced gardens. Exotic plants, flowering vines, and great trees flourished hundreds of feet in the air, a botanical miracle in the heart of the Mesopotamian desert. The entire structure was kept alive by a feat of engineering as wondrous as the gardens themselves, a complex irrigation system, perhaps a chain pump, that lifted water ceaselessly from the Euphrates River to the highest terrace. Yet, for all its fame, Babylon guards its secret jealously. Decades of meticulous archaeological excavation have yielded no definitive evidence. The soil is silent. This profound absence has fractured scholarly opinion. Some argue the gardens are a poetic fiction, a fable that grew with each retelling. Others propose a tantalizing alternative, a case of mistaken identity, suggesting the gardens were located not in Babylon, but hundreds of miles north, in the Assyrian capital of Nineveh. The debate itself adds another layer of intrigue, transforming the gardens from a physical place to an enduring question mark, a testament to the power of a story to outlive the stone and soil from which it may, or may not, have sprung. But what of a wonder whose existence is certain, yet whose form has vanished as completely as a desert mirage? We travel to Olympia, Greece, the sacred ground where, for nearly a millennium, the magnificent statue of Zeus presided over his temple. This was not mere sculpture, it was the embodiment of the divine on earth. Crafted by the legendary sculptor Phidias, the same master who oversaw the Parthenon, the colossal figure depicted the king of the gods seated upon an elaborate throne of cedar wood, inlaid with ebony, ivory, gold, and precious stones. The statue itself was a chryselephantine marvel, its skin carved from polished ivory, its beard, robes, and sandals forged from hammered gold. At over 40 feet high, it filled the entire width of the temple aisle, inspiring a profound and terrifying awe in all who beheld it. To see it was said to be a life-altering experience. Yet this masterpiece, this physical manifestation of a god, met an uncertain and ignominious end, disappearing from historical records sometime before the 6th century. The trail of its destruction splits into two competing narratives. One account suggests it was consumed by a great fire that ravaged its temple home in Olympia. Another, more dramatic tale claims it was carefully transported to the imperial capital of Constantinople, only to be lost forever in the flames of a palace fire there. The precise circumstances remain shrouded in speculation, a cold case at the heart of classical art. Some destruction, however, is not accidental, but born of a darker human impulse. In Ephesus, a coastal city in present-day Turkey, stood the Temple of Artemis, a structure so vast and opulent it was known to the world simply as the Artemision. A marvel of Greek architecture, its forest of more than 100 marble columns soared 60 feet into the sky. Dedicated to the goddess of the hunt, it was rebuilt several times across its history, each iteration more magnificent than the last. But the temple's sacredness could not protect it from human vanity and greed. It fell victim to arson, to floods, and to relentless looting. The first great act of vandalism was infamous, committed in 356 BC by a man named Herostratus, who set the temple ablaze for the sole purpose of having his name immortalized by history. A desperate thirst for infamy that succeeded beyond his wildest dreams. Though rebuilt, the temple's fate was sealed. It was plundered by Goths, and its final abandonment left its exquisite marble to be carried away, repurposed for new buildings, its divine purpose forgotten. Yet even the most enduring symbols of civilization are not immune to the chaos of human conflict. We arrive, finally, at the iconic Parthenon on the Acropolis of Athens. Dedicated to the goddess Athena, it stands as the ultimate symbol of ancient Greek thought, democracy, and architectural prowess. For over 2 millennia, it has witnessed a tumultuous history, surviving earthquakes, fires, and the slow erosion of time. It has been a temple, a Christian church, and an Islamic mosque. But its greatest wound was inflicted not by nature, but by war. In the year 1687, during a Venetian siege of the Acropolis, the defending Ottoman forces made a fateful decision. Believing the temple's thick stone walls made it impregnable, they used the Parthenon as an ammunition depot, packing its sacred interior with gunpowder. A single mortar round, fired from a nearby hill, arched through the sky, found an opening in the roof, and ignited the stockpile. The resulting explosion was catastrophic, blowing out the heart of the building, shattering its columns, and obliterating much of the peerless sculpture that had adorned it for 2,000 years. These colossal fragments, these empty spaces and whispered legends, are what remain. They are monuments not only to the genius of their creators, but to the inescapable forces of time, nature, and the darker currents of the human spirit. Their destruction, whether by the slow grind of the earth or the sudden flash of a cannon, reminds us that nothing built by mortal hands is truly permanent. Yet in their ruin, and even in their complete absence, they achieve a different kind of immortality, surviving not in stone or gold, but in the unending human quest to understand them, to imagine their glory, and to tell their stories. Upon the Acropolis, the Parthenon stands as a wounded monument, its marble bones bleached by the sun. While we can chart the wars and calamities that scarred its form, the precise reasons for the loss of its original splendor remain shrouded in the fog of time. In the shadows of such crumbled giants, we trace the outlines of ancient ambition. From the phantom grandeur of Babylon to the shattered bronze limbs of the Colossus of Rhodes, each site whispers the same haunting refrain, a tale of vanished civilizations and the inexorable march of entropy. Earthquakes, the fires of war, the slow, insidious decay of neglect, all have laid claim to these wonders. Yet, it is not the ruin itself, but the unanswered questions that ignite our imagination, reminding us of the profound and fleeting nature of human achievement. Then, in a quiet dawn mist, on a remote Korean hillside, the past stirs. A team of archaeologists, chilled by the morning air, stares in disbelief at a colossal stone slab jutting from the earth. As they excavate, clearing away centuries of soil and silence, the true breathtaking scale of the structure emerges. It is a gargantuan prehistoric monument, a silent titan assembled from boulders weighing hundreds of tons. A question, immediate and profound, hangs in the air. How could a culture with no written records, no evidence of heavy machinery, have raised such a thing? This is the gateway to Korea's ancient mysteries, to monumental structures that defy simple explanation and challenge the conventional timeline of human history. From massive stone tables that pepper the countryside to a mountain altar steeped in primordial legend, each discovery reveals a past more complex, more sophisticated, and more awe-inspiring than we ever dared to imagine. Scattered across the world, history is written not in ink, but in stone. Korea boasts the highest concentration of these prehistoric megaliths on the planet, an estimated 35,000 known dolmens, a number that dwarfs the count in neighboring China or Japan. Each monument typically consists of several vertical standing stones, the staunch legs supporting a massive horizontal capstone. They form a silhouette that is at once simple and deeply enigmatic, a giant's table set for a feast of eternity. Some of these capstones are of a truly unfathomable scale. Near Hwasun, the Pingmai Dolman holds the world record. Its capstone weighs an estimated 280 tons, the equivalent of 200 modern automobiles. To quarry, transport, and then lift such a gargantuan slab would be a formidable engineering challenge even today, requiring fleets of heavy cranes and meticulous planning. Yet, here it rests, placed with impossible precision atop its supporting stones by a Bronze Age people. How they accomplished this feat remains one of archaeology's great unsolved puzzles. What immense force of will, what forgotten knowledge of leverage and logistics allowed them to command the very bedrock of their world? And for what purpose was this staggering effort expended? Archaeologists generally agree that the dolmens were tombs, ceremonial burial markers for the elite chieftains and revered figures of their time. Excavations have unearthed human remains and grave goods that speak of power and prestige, ornaments of polished jade and the deadly gleam of bronze daggers. But definitive answers are elusive. Curiously, Korean dolmens have not yielded a clear, consistent pattern of royal burials that one might expect from such monumental undertakings. The sheer number of them suggests they were more than just tombs for a handful of kings. They were a cultural obsession, a testament to a society that poured its collective energy into marking the landscape with permanence. Though shattered and weathered, these monoliths endure not merely as structures of stone, but as monuments to the enduring human quest to leave a mark, to build something that outlasts a single life, and to whisper a story into the ear of a future that may no longer remember the language in which it was first told. Across the Korean peninsula, a silent army stands watch. Hewn from granite, they punctuate the landscape, in coastal plains, on remote hillsides, and clustered in vast, silent cemeteries. They are the dolmens, megalithic tombs that form one of the most dense and mysterious concentrations of prehistoric structures on Earth. Yet, beneath their stoic surfaces, a consistent story refuses to form. Some of these stone chambers yield the skeletal remains of a long-forgotten chieftain, surrounded by the bronze daggers and polished pottery that were to accompany them into the afterlife. But many others reveal nothing but the cold, empty earth. They contain no bones, no artifacts, no trace of human passage, leaving experts locked in a debate that has spanned generations. Were they burial vaults for the elite, sacrificial altars for unknowable gods, or territorial markers for powerful clans? Establishing a precise chronology for these tens of thousands of structures has proven a monumental task in itself. Researchers are still mapping the constellations of these stone monuments, attempting to trace the timeline of when and how this megalithic culture first ignited and then spread across the land. What we can ascertain is that they began to appear around 1300 years before the Common Era, during Korea's Bronze Age. This was a crucible of social transformation, where nascent chiefdoms began to forge power and establish hierarchies. The sheer weight of these stones is a testament to an organized society, one capable of marshalling immense human capital for a single monumental purpose. The construction of even one dolmen hints at a community with a sophisticated command structure, pushing back our understanding of when advanced civilization truly began to dawn on the peninsula. Where science falls silent, folklore rushes in to fill the void, reflecting the profound bewilderment these structures inspired even in later generations. Locals in antiquity, gazing upon the same stones that baffle us today, spun imaginative legends to account for their presence. One tale speaks of the colossal Hwasun dolmen, its capstone a staggering 280 tons. It was dropped there, the story goes, by a frustrated fairy, its immense weight explained as a burden too great even for a supernatural being. Another legend whispers that the famous table-type dolmen on Ganghwa Island, with its 50-ton capstone balanced precariously on two pillars, was an accident of magic. An evil wizard, attempting to block the flow of the Earth's sacred energy, began piling rocks on a mountain. In his haste, a giant stone rolled down the slope, landing perfectly atop two smaller stones, creating the dolmen we see today. In the absence of history, the people saw the work of giants, the homes of witches, or the forgotten relics of ancient saints, as if only the supernatural could account for such impossible feats of engineering. While enchanting, these myths underscore the core mystery. The construction defies easy explanation. Modern scholars, armed with the principles of physics and archaeology, are left to marvel at the ingenuity of Bronze Age engineers. Theories have been proposed, painting a picture of vast teams, perhaps 200, even 300 strong, working in disciplined unimps, and the brute force of human muscle, inching the multi-ton stones into place over a bed of rolling logs. Experiments have demonstrated that, with enough leverage and manpower, such feats are theoretically possible. And yet, to stand in their presence, often on windswept ridges or secluded hilltops far from any quarry, one is confronted by the sheer audacity of the feat. How did these early communities, with only the simplest of tools, sustain such colossal projects? Did they possess an advanced, intuitive knowledge of engineering, a mastery of leverage and friction now lost to the currents of time? These remain tantalizing speculations. No chisel marks spell out their purpose. No scrolls detail the rituals performed in their shadow. No written records survive from Korea's dolmen period to illuminate the minds of their builders. In this profound absence of answers, the dolmens stand as silent witnesses to an unrecorded past. They are monuments, not to a conclusion, but to a question. They speak to us across the millennia, not with words, but with the undeniable gravity of their own existence, a testament to the enduring human ambition to leave a mark, to build something permanent in a world of fleeting moments. They are a defiant gesture against the erosion of time, a silent echo of a people whose secrets are now kept forever by the stone. Their silence is absolute, their purpose impenetrable. They are monuments of the earth, inviting us to wonder about the identity of their builders, a story yet to be unearthed from the soil. But on the Korean peninsula, some mysteries do not lie buried, they reach for the heavens. High atop Mount Manasan, on the windswept Gangwon Island, another ancient enigma watches over the land. Here, where the sky meets the sea, lies Chamsongdan, a stepped stone altar shrouded in the primordial mists of legend. According to the foundational myths of Korea, this sacred mountaintop altar is where Dangun Wanggeom, the semi-divine founder of Gojoseon, the first Korean kingdom, performed sacred rites to the heavens. The tradition is staggering in its scope, dating the kingdom's origin to the year 2333 BCE. It is a humbling thought. If the legend holds even a kernel of truth, this humble edifice of stone could mark a ritual site from nearly 5,000 years ago, a direct physical link to the very dawn of Korean civilization. The altar itself is a marvel of archaic simplicity and profound symbolism. A tiered platform, its lower base is a square constructed of natural uncut stones, while the upper platform is circular, built of dressed granite. This design echoes an ancient East Asian cosmology. The earth is square, the heavens are round. A flight of 21 stone steps ascends one side, a symbolic journey from the terrestrial to the celestial. Though not as titanic in scale as the great dolmens, Chamsongdan's significance is not measured in tonnage, but in its aura of myth and enduring sanctity. No one knows with certainty when the first stones were laid here, or by whom. History's gaze blurs across the millennia. What we do know is that its power has resonated through the ages. Kings of the later Goryeo and Choson dynasties made pilgrimages to this very spot, holding ceremonies to honor their nation's mythic progenitor. They renovated the altar not to change it, but to preserve it, believing with unshakable conviction that they stood on the hallowed ground of their most distant ancestors. To stand atop this peak is to feel that connection. The Yellow Sea stretches out below, a vast, shimmering expanse, while the sky feels impossibly close, a celestial dome within reach. The altar's name, Chamsongdan, translates to altar for observing the stars. It may have been a sacred observatory where early priests tracked the movements of the sun, moon, and constellations, weaving their findings into calendars of ritual and agriculture. Its dimensions, the 21 steps, the 9-meter base, hint at a deeper symbolic meaning, a numerological code linked to the cosmos, its secrets now lost to time. No inscriptions explain its purpose, but its silent, stoic presence keeps the legend of Dangun alive. As the stars wheel overhead, just as they did thousands of years ago, myth and history merge into one. From prehistoric tombs to mountaintop altars, Korea's landscape is a gallery of enigmatic structures that continue to confound and captivate. These monuments push the boundaries of what we believed ancient peoples were capable of. Each discovery, a gigantic capstone lifted in the Bronze Age, a legendary altar on a sacred peak, forces us to reconsider the ingenuity and spiritual ambition of those who came before us. Were they masters of forgotten technologies, wielders of lost techniques, or were their achievements born not of mechanics, but of a collective will so powerful it could reshape the very earth. The truth may lie just beneath of a bygone era. They are questions etched into the landscape, challenging our modern assumptions of progress. They remind us that the human impulse to build, to commemorate, and to reach for something beyond ourselves is a story as old as humanity itself. A story written not in ink, but in stone. To witness the Earth from the void is to see it for the first time. The planet is an impossible luminescence, a living jewel set against the absolute black. It is far brighter than any mind can prepare for, an incandescent sphere of swirling white cloud, deep blue ocean, and ochre land that fills the entire field of vision. It does not hang in the sky, it is the sky. From this silent sanctuary, entire continents drift across the celestial canvas, their familiar shapes rendered with a clarity that is both breathtaking and deeply humbling. One feels an almost primal urge to be part of any endeavor that returns a human being to this perspective, to once again leave the familiar shores of our world and gaze back upon its wholeness. Faint grids of light, roads, thin veins on the skin of the planet. Yet some marks we have made are so audacious, so immense, they refuse to disappear. They can be traced from orbit, faint scars etched upon the terrestrial surface. For generations, the legend was that only one such structure could claim this distinction: the Great Wall of China. But what if the legend is incomplete? What if another colossal construction, a megalithic undertaking of staggering proportion, is hiding in plain view? There are hints, whispers in the geological and archaeological record, clues that something profound is missing from our story. To comprehend the scale of such a possibility, we must first turn to the benchmark against which all colossal undertakings are measured. The Great Wall of China is not a single entity, but a profound legacy, a sprawling serpentine narrative written in earth and stone by a succession of powerful dynasties. Its earliest chapters trace back to the Eastern Zhou dynasty, a time of warring states where feudal lords raised earthen barriers to fortify their domains against one another, and more pressingly, against the nomadic horsemen of the northern steppes. These were not yet a great wall, but a patchwork of desperate defenses, the first expressions of a fear that would shape a continent. The story truly coalesces with the rise of the Qin dynasty around 221 BC. Under the iron will of the first emperor Qin Shi Huang, the disparate walls were unified. This was an act of imperial consolidation on an unprecedented scale. Using a relentless rhythm of pounded earth, a technique known as rammed earth, legions of soldiers and conscripted laborers erected a consolidated defense system. Local materials, earth, wood, and stone, were compacted layer by agonizing layer, creating a formidable barrier against the Xiongnu tribes, a constant threat from the north. This was the first true Great Wall, a testament to centralized power and a brutal, singular vision. As the imperial baton passed to the Han dynasty, the wall's purpose evolved. It was no longer merely a line of defense, but a guardian of prosperity. The Han emperors pushed the fortifications further, extending deep into the hostile deserts of what is now Mongolia. Their primary motive was the protection of the burgeoning Silk Road, the vital artery of commerce and ideas that connected the East with the West. It was during this era that the wall's builders showcased a remarkable ingenuity. In the barren landscapes where stone was scarce, they innovated, weaving layers of reeds and willow branches into the packed sand and gravel. This ancient form of composite engineering, a testament to resourcefulness in the unforgiving Gobi, created sections of wall so durable that remnants have survived for 2 millennia. One cannot help but think of it as a time capsule, a deliberate intention to preserve not just a border, but a way of life. Centuries passed, dynasties rose and fell, but the wall that haunts the modern imagination, the one of postcards and epic films, is largely a Ming dynasty creation. Forged in the aftermath of the Mongol invasions, the Ming reconstruction, from the 14th to the 17th century, was the most ambitious of all. They learned from the past, abandoning the rammed earth of their predecessors for the permanence of stone and fired brick. This was the wall's zenith, the pinnacle of defensive architecture. It became a sophisticated military system, bristling with crenellated battlements, thousands of watchtowers, garrison stations, and troop barracks. These towers formed a vast nervous system capable of relaying messages of an impending attack across hundreds of miles in mere hours, using a precise code of smoke signals by day and fire by night. This great dragon of stone and earth is more than a fortification. It is the physical embodiment of a civilization's relationship with the outside world. A line drawn between the settled and the nomadic, the known and the unknown. It speaks of fear, but also of endurance. It is a monument to the human capacity to reshape the very surface of the planet in the name of security and identity. And as we trace its path across mountains and deserts, we are reminded that for every known wonder, there may be others, their stories waiting to be unearthed, their scale demanding that we reconsider the limits of what our ancestors were truly capable of. Before the first stone was ever photographed, before the first archaeological trench was dug, the story of the Great Wall was etched not in earth, but in ink. Through the monumental chronicle of Sima Qian, the grand historian of the Han court, we inherit a narrative that transcends mere construction. His records of the grand historian are not a simple ledger of materials and measurements, but a profound account of a civilization's will, poured into a line stretching across the horizon. He documents the staggering strategic imperatives, the sheer logistical scale, but he also gives voice to the silent millions. His brushstrokes paint a harrowing picture of the brutal, often fatal conditions endured by the laborers, the farmers, soldiers, and convicts whose hands raised these first barriers. Sima Qian's work reveals the immense human cost, a price measured not in currency, but in generations of lives sacrificed to an unyielding drive for security and permanence. For centuries, these texts were the primary lens through which the wall's early phases were understood. But in the 20th century, a new kind of history began to be written, one inscribed by the trowel and the surveyor's transit. Systematic archaeological studies commenced, with teams from across China and around the globe descending upon its winding path. They sought to unravel its mysteries, to read the story told by the wall itself. Meticulous excavations began to unearth a silent testament of artifacts, allowing scholars to precisely date disparate segments and decode the secret languages of its construction. What emerged was a revelation. The wall was not a singular, monolithic entity, but a living organism, adapting its very skin to the terrain it traversed. In the rugged, wind-swept northern terrains, where the mountains clawed at the sky, builders wrestled with monolithic blocks of granite. They harnessed the local abundance, hewing a defense from a material as unforgiving and enduring as the landscape itself. Yet, where the mountains yielded to the vast, open plains, the strategy shifted entirely. Here, builders employed the ancient technique of hung tu, or rammed earth. It was a method of profound simplicity and effectiveness, compacting layer upon layer of soil, gravel, and clay within wooden frames, creating a structure that was both economical and astonishingly resilient. This adaptive strategy, this dialogue between human ingenuity and the natural world, was the wall's first great secret. These early segments were far from simple mounds of dirt. To defy erosion and grant structural integrity, intricate wooden skeletons were often integrated within the earthen cores. In regions rich with stone, massive uncut boulders served not only as foundational anchors, but as the primary building blocks of the entire structure. Wood, too, played its vital role, forming the gates, watchtowers, and reinforcements that gave the wall its eyes and its teeth. Though it was a fleeting strength, vulnerable to the ravages of fire and the slow decay of time. But the true apotheosis of the wall's construction, the era that would define its iconic image for all time, arrived with the Ming dynasty. This was a period of profound technological evolution. The humble, kiln-fired brick became the agent of a grand transformation. Their uniform size and shape were a revelation, a stark contrast to the irregular, quarrelsome stones of the past. This standardization revolutionized the construction process. Bricks were easier to transport, easier to handle, and could be laid with a speed and precision previously unimaginable. This efficiency did not just accelerate the work, it imbued the structure with an unprecedented level of structural integrity. The wall was no longer just a barrier. It was becoming a masterpiece of military engineering, a crenellated dragon of clay and stone, stronger and more resistant to the elements than any of its previous incarnations. Thus, the Great Wall stands not merely as a structure of granite, earth, and brick, but as a geological and historical cross-section of a civilization's soul. Each material tells a story of local necessity, of technological advancement, of the very character of the land it bisects. It is a monument built to divide, yet it speaks a universal language of human endeavor, a testament to the enduring, often brutal impulse to draw a line against the unknown, and in doing so, to define who we are. To raise a dragon of stone and earth across the spine of a continent required more than just will. It demanded a revolution in logistics. The sheer weight of the endeavor, the impossible distances, threatened to collapse the project before the first watchtower could be completed. The solution was as pragmatic as it was immense. A vast, decentralized network of kilns, established as unseen arteries of industry, hugging the path of the future wall. Here, in the searing heat of countless temporary furnaces, the very earth was transformed. It is a scale that defies modern comprehension. These kilns churned out not millions, but hundreds of millions of bricks. Perhaps, over the dynasty's long and arduous reign, even billions. Each brick, a single fired thought in a monumental idea, passed from hand to hand, hoisted into place to form a fragment of the whole. This was an industrial enterprise on a scale the world had never before witnessed, a testament to a bureaucracy capable of mobilizing not just armies of men, but armies of material. But a brick is useless without a bond, and the mortars of the age were fallible. susceptible to the relentless cycles of rain and frost. The enduring strength of the Great Wall, the secret to its survival through centuries of assault by both man and nature, would come not from the quarry, but from the kitchen. During the Ming dynasty, builders perfected an alchemical secret, a substance of legendary strength and resilience. They began mixing the standard lime mortar with a simple cooked paste of sticky rice. The result was an organic-inorganic composite, a fusion of the harvested field and the quarried mountain that was nothing short of revolutionary. The complex carbohydrates in the rice, specifically a substance called amylopectin, inhibited the growth of calcium carbonate crystals, creating an exceptionally tight and stable bond. This was a mortar that breathed with the seasons, yet hardened to the consistency of stone, offering unparalleled water resistance and compressive strength. It is this humble innovation, this culinary wisdom applied to engineering, that allows so many sections of the wall to stand defiantly against the erosion of time. Yet the true binding agent of the Great Wall was not of rice and lime, but of human sweat and bone. The construction was a colossal human sacrifice, a project fed by an endless supply of labor. Over the centuries, millions were conscripted into its service. Soldiers torn from their garrisons, peasants from their fields, convicts paying their debt in stone, and even scholars and poets who had fallen from imperial favor, their hands unaccustomed to the callous of labor. They toiled in the most unforgiving of conditions, the searing heat of summer reflecting off the barren rock, the bone-cracking cold of winter winds sweeping across the northern plains. Supplies were meager, exhaustion was a constant companion, and malnutrition gnawed at their strength. For countless thousands, the wall was not a monument to their empire, but the site of their demise. Historical accounts and grim archaeological discoveries have given rise to a chilling legend, one that whispers that the wall is not merely built upon the dead, but of them, that the bodies of the fallen were interred within its vast foundations, earning it the somber epithet, the world's longest graveyard. From the silent vantage of orbit, these marks of human ambition are laid bare. 1. A line of defense snaking across millennia. The other, a wound carved into the earth in little more than a century. Shifting our gaze from the ancient East to the American West, we find another testament to human endeavor, visible from the heavens. This is the Bingham Canyon Mine. Known also as the Kennecott Copper Mine, it is a man-made amphitheater of industry, etched into the Oak Ear Mountains southwest of Salt Lake City, Utah. Since its formal inception in 1906, it has been a beacon of industrial power. Its origins, however, trace back to 1898, when a prospector named Enoch Andrew Wall began to consolidate claims, recognizing the mountain's true potential not in veins of gold, but in a low-grade yet massive deposit of copper ore. The landscape was irrevocably altered. What was once a mountain has been inverted, turned inside out in a relentless pursuit of the Earth's hidden wealth. It is an architecture of subtraction, a spiraling descent into the planet's crust, a terrestrial galaxy of tiered benches and roadways where Colochapter in a story of extraction on a scale that rivals the construction of the ancient wall. Both structures, the wall built to keep invaders out and the mine dug to pull resources out, represent the apex of human organization and engineering in their respective eras. They are the silent, enduring chronicles of our species, a testament not only to what we can build, but to what we are willing to sacrifice in the process. They are the scars we leave upon the world, and perhaps the truest reflection of ourselves. In the high desert of Utah, the earth bears a wound. A vast, spiraling gash carved not by nature, but by the relentless ambition of humankind. This is the Bingham Canyon Mine, a leviathan of industry born in the year 1910, when it was acquired by the Kennecott Copper Corporation. That moment marked the dawn of a new era of extraction, an operation on a scale previously unimaginable, and one that has not ceased for over a century. It stands today as one of the oldest, and by far the most productive mines in the history of the United States. Its method is brutally direct, open-pit mining, a process of peeling back the planet's skin, layer by layer, to access the mineral wealth locked deep below. Here, technology has always been a tool of amplification. In 1926, the first large-scale electric shovels clawed at the earth, their steel teeth rewriting the landscape. Then, in 1937, the arrival of massive haul trucks revolutionized the very logistics of this deconstruction, creating a mechanical circulatory system to move mountains of shattered rock. Over the decades, this pit has yielded a river of copper, more than 20 million tons, surpassing the output of any other mine on Earth. It is the metal that wired the modern world, that hums within our walls and connects our continents. Yet copper is not its only secret. From this same chasm have come fortunes in gold, rivers of silver, and the strategic alloy of molybdenum, each discovery cementing its status as a cornerstone of global resources. But the mine's impact transcends mere production. In its relentless excavation, it has inadvertently gifted science an unparalleled view into the planet's anatomy. The terraced walls expose a detailed cross-section of the Earth's crust, an open book of geological strata and ore deposit formations. For the field of economic geology, it is an invaluable, if accidental, laboratory, deepening our understanding of the elemental forces that forge a world. Stranger still is its subtle influence on the world above. The sheer volume of mass removed from this single point has disturbed the local gravitational field. For pilots navigating the skies overhead, compass readings can become erratic, the planet's own magnetic guidance system momentarily warped by the void below. This colossal pit has not only reshaped the land, but the invisible forces that govern it. Its scale defies easy comprehension. At its widest point, the chasm spans nearly 2.5 miles. Its floor plunges to a depth of more than 3/4 of a mile. It is an abyss so profound that two of the world's tallest structures, the Burj Khalifa, could be laid end to end within its base and still be dwarfed by the sheer immensity of the excavation. This is the known face of humanity's impulse to carve the earth. But what are the marks left by hands from a deeper past? In the islands of Japan, a megalithic culture whispers of another kind of ambition. Here, countless monumental stones lie waiting, many never properly studied, their stories shrouded in time. One need only look closely at their impossible forms to see the truth. This is no accident of geology. This is the deliberate work of human hands. The evidence is etched into their very substance. They are composed of individual, colossal blocks of stone, hewn and placed with a purpose we no longer understand. To have gone to such extraordinary lengths, to have shaped and moved these megaliths, was not an act of whimsy. They would not have wasted them. This ancient drive finds its most breathtaking expression deep beneath the surface. Imagine descending into a vast network of subterranean caverns near Utsunomiya, a silent, geometric underworld extending for thousands of square meters. This entire complex was carved from a unique volcanic tuff known as Oya stone. When these chambers were first hollowed from the earth, the feat would have seemed beyond the limits of the era's people. To shape such an immense and complex structure with such precision and artistry speaks of a forgotten knowledge, a different relationship between humanity and stone. Here, in the cold, quiet dark, we are confronted with the same fundamental impulse seen in the sun-scorched terraces of Utah. One is a scar of extraction, a void left by taking. The other is a void of creation, a space made for reasons now lost to us. Both are testaments, written in the language of geology, to the enduring human need to leave a permanent mark upon the world, to dig, to build, and to transform the very planet that sustains us. Somehow, they did. With nothing more than rudimentary tools and the raw currency of human effort, they raised monuments that defy our modern sensibilities. We are left standing in the shadow of their achievements, confronted by an enormous planetary mystery. From the sun-scorched plains of Giza to the mist-shrouded peaks of the Andes, megalithic sites stand as silent testaments to a past we think we know, yet fail to properly understand. The dating of these colossal structures, the very timeline of human capability, may need to be profoundly reconsidered. We are just touching the edge of a vast and unsettling enigma. Did these accomplishments unfold as our history books tell us? Or was there more at play here than meets the eye? Fast forward to our own age. Despite our advanced technology, our computer-aided designs and titanic machinery, the prospect of replicating such feats remains a formidable, almost insurmountable challenge. This humbling realization invites us to explore the depths of these sites, to listen to the secrets held within their echoing chambers and imposing walls. In the volcanic archipelago of Japan, carved from the very bones of the earth, another chapter of this story is written in stone. Here, the Oyo Stone Quarry, with its deep historical roots in the nation's architectural landscape, offers a fascinating glimpse into the evolution from localized resource extraction to an industry that would shape a civilization. Its exact date of discovery is lost to the mists of time, a detail undocumented by the earliest chroniclers. Yet archaeological evidence suggests that small-scale quarrying of the unique volcanic tuff known as Oyo stone began around the Heian period. The stone possessed a remarkable quality. When freshly hewn from the earth, it was soft, yielding to the patient work of the chisel. Exposed to the air, it hardened, becoming a durable and lasting medium. This made it ideal for the sacred arts, for breathing life into the serene forms of religious statues, and for constructing the hallowed walls of temples and shrines that dotted the landscape. As Japan transitioned into the Edo period, the role of Oyo stone was set to expand dramatically. This was a time of relative peace under the Tokugawa shogunate, an era marked by explosive urbanization and the burgeoning need for more resilient building materials. The great capital of Edo, modern-day Tokyo, was a sprawling metropolis built largely of wood and paper. With this design came a persistent, terrifying threat: fire. Conflagrations were a common and devastating feature of urban life. From this existential threat, Oyo stone emerged as a critical resource. Its porous, lightweight nature gave it an enhanced resistance to fire, a quality that made it invaluable. The once quiet quarry, the domain of artisans and monks, transformed. Its activities intensified, driven by technological advancements. Better chiseling tools were introduced, and more systematic methods for extracting and transporting massive blocks of stone were devised. The rhythmic clang of metal on rock echoed through the hills as the demand from the capital surged. Oyo stone became the material of choice for constructing robust, fire-resistant walls for the estates of samurai and wealthy merchants, and for the critical storehouses that held the nation's rice and treasures. The expansion of the city necessitated vast quantities of the durable stone, not just for walls, but for the foundations of bridges and other vital infrastructure projects that required materials capable of withstanding both the elements and the ever-present threat of flame. This was not a reckless plunder. As demand soared, the shogunate itself intervened, implementing stricter regulations to manage the quarry's operations. They understood that this was a finite resource, a national asset. Rules were established to ensure extraction rates were sustainable, a remarkable act of foresight, ensuring that the stone would remain available for generations to come. When we compare Oyo stone with the great limestones of Europe, which were used for similar purposes of construction and artistry, a distinct cultural and geological narrative unfolds. European limestone gave rise to the soaring arches and intricate facades of Gothic cathedrals, monuments to faith reaching for the heavens. Oyo stone, by contrast, was used to create powerful, horizontal lines of defense, fortress walls and embankments that spoke of resilience and permanence in a world of impermanence. One was an expression of divine aspiration, the other a pragmatic response to the harsh realities of nature and urban living. The story of Oyo stone is a microcosm of the larger human endeavor. It is a tangible record of innovation, of societal need driving industry, and of a sophisticated understanding of the natural world. Yet even here, in this well-documented history, we are faced with the sheer scale of the labor. We are forced to wonder about those earlier, unrecorded ages. The stones themselves are an archive, holding within their silicate structures the memory of the hands that cut them and the society that placed them. They challenge our linear, progressive view of history, suggesting that ancient peoples possessed a knowledge and a capacity that we have since forgotten. The questions they pose are not merely about the past, but about the very limits of our own understanding. They are a mirror, reflecting the vast, unexplored territories of human history, and perhaps of human potential itself. In the great annals of human construction, certain materials are chosen not merely for function, but for their soul. In Europe, the luminous quarries of limestone yielded a stone that could be carved into soaring cathedrals, monuments to human ambition reaching for the divine. It was a material of both practicality and overt aesthetic glory. But across the world, in the volcanic archipelago of Japan, a different kind of stone was being drawn from the earth. A stone whose story was not one of conquest over nature, but of a deep and patient collaboration with it. From a celebrated quarry comes Oya stone, a unique green tuff, a volcanic rock born of fire and pressure. For centuries, it has been a quiet cornerstone of Japanese architecture and art, its significance woven deeply into the nation's cultural and religious identity. Its history begins around the year 800, during the dawn of the Heian period. This was an age of profound transformation, a time when the imperial court consolidated its power and a new, distinctly Japanese culture began to blossom, nurtured by the fading, yet still potent aesthetics of China's Tang dynasty. In these early days, the use of Oya stone was humble. Pulled from the earth, it was used to build the foundations and lower structures of village buildings. Its value was rooted in its accessibility, but also in a secret it held within. For Oya stone possesses a remarkable, almost magical quality. When first quarried, it is relatively soft, yielding to the craftsman's blade. It hardens, locking in the form it has been given, turning from a malleable medium into an element of enduring structural integrity. This duality offered ancient builders a fleeting window of opportunity, a chance to shape and carve with ease, confident that time and atmosphere would complete their work, bestowing the strength required for permanence. Its physical appearance spoke a language of subtlety and harmony. Its warm beige to light gray hues and porous, breathing texture allowed it to blend seamlessly with the wood and paper of traditional Japanese structures. It did not dominate the landscape, it became part of it, providing excellent insulation, a silent guardian against the extremes of the seasons. As the Heian period matured, the cultural heart of Japan shifted to the new imperial capital, Kyoto. Here, in a sprawling city built almost entirely of wood, a new and urgent demand for Oya stone emerines, conflagration, was a constant, terrifying threat. Oya stone's natural resistance to flame made it an invaluable asset, a shield against the greatest peril of city life. Its reputation grew. By the late Heian period, the stone's journey extended far beyond local villages. It was now sought for the most significant and prestigious projects across the nation. It formed the foundations of sacred temples, the serene platforms for shrines, and was even carved into the solemn figures of deities and guardians. Ancient texts bear witness to its rising stature, chronicling its use in substantial, state-sponsored constructions, a clear sign of its integration into the architectural identity of the era. This escalating demand necessitated a transformation at the quarry itself. Simple manual extraction evolved into more organized, sophisticated mining operations, a testament to the stone's immense value. To look upon this stone is to look into the past. One cannot help but think of a time capsule, yet this was no accident of preservation. This was a conscious act of embedding a moment in permanence. The very process of its hardening suggests a profound intention. As the freshly cut stone was exposed to the Heian air, it did more than simply oxidize. It inhaled that ancient atmosphere, trapping within its slowly crystallizing structure the very essence of its time. It is a vessel holding not just form, but a vanished world. In this, the stone transcends its function as a mere building material. It becomes a silent witness, a library of geology and history, reflecting a culture that understood that the greatest strength is not found in imposing one's will upon the world, but in understanding its rhythms and building a future in alignment with its deepest truths. Beneath the tranquil landscape of Utsunomiya in Tochigi Prefecture, a hidden world descends into the earth. It is a cathedral of stone, a place where geology, history, and the very physics of sound converge. This is the Oya Stone Quarry, a vast subterranean network sprawling across more than 20,000 square meters. In its deepest chambers, it plunges 60 meters from the surface, a chasm equivalent to a 20-story building turned upside down. But its scale is merely the prelude to its story. The walls themselves are a silent testament. Etched into their surface is a frozen chronicle of human endeavor. The rhythmic marks of pickaxes and chisels narrating a history of mining techniques that evolved over centuries. Here and there, a forgotten tool or a simple artifact left behind by a miner long ago has been preserved by the cool, dry air, becoming a part of the quarry's historical tapestry. The stone itself tells an even older tale. Its varied color strains, its intricate vein patterns, and its unique mineral compositions, a form of volcanic tuff rich in zeolite, speak of a violent geological past, of ash and fire compressed over millennia into this singular material. As the demand for this remarkable stone grew, so too did the operation. The quarry expanded, its workforce swelling into a formidable legion of laborers. It became the very heart of the local economy, a powerful engine providing livelihoods for countless families, fueling the growth of entire communities that rose from the dust of its extraction. Yet, beyond its industrial might, a more profound narrative whispers from the depths. A tantalizing theory suggests the quarry's true genesis lies not with merchants, but with monarchs. It is believed that this unique deposit was discovered and first developed under the auspices of the imperial family of Japan. In an age when power was inextricably linked to divine authority, the imperial house may have seen in this stone a perfect medium to manifest their celestial mandate. By constructing temples and palaces from Oya stone, a material found nowhere else, they could create structures that were not just grand, but divinely singular. The Heian period, an era of unparalleled artistic refinement and imperial ambition, provides compelling evidence. The frequent use of Oya stone in imperial and noble projects during this time supports the hypothesis. The stone's distinctive texture and greenish hue imparted a unique grandeur to buildings, a visual language that symbolized the exalted, otherworldly status of the emperor. It was more than a building material. It was an instrument of statecraft, a physical declaration of a divine right to rule. This possibility adds a layer of sacred and political intrigue to the quarry's already rich history. This space, however, holds another secret, one perceived not by the eye, but by the ear. The caverns possess exceptional acoustic properties. The natural porosity and density of the Oya stone act as a perfect sound dampener. Sound waves, rather than reflecting in a cacophony of echoes, are absorbed and softened by the stone itself. The result is an environment of profound clarity, where sound travels with an unnerving purity, creating an atmosphere of almost sacred silence. When compared to the ancient underground cities of Cappadocia in Turkey, both carved from volcanic rock, the profound difference in purpose becomes clear. The Cappadocian caverns were sanctuaries, homes, and places of worship, carved for human survival and spiritual solace. The Oya caverns, in contrast, were an industrial heart, a space hollowed out not for shelter, but for the raw material that would build an empire's prestige above. Here in the cool, still darkness, one can feel the immense weight of time. It is a space shaped by the brute force of geology and the tireless persistence of human hands. It is a monument to both economic necessity and imperial ambition. The echoes of the past are not heard here. They are absorbed into the very walls, leaving behind a silence that speaks volumes, a quiet testament to the enduring power of the earth and humanity's unceasing drive to leave its mark upon it. Deep beneath the earth, entire cities were carved from living rock. In Cappadocia, These were not mere shelters, but subterranean societies, complete with living quarters, sacred churches, and ingenious ventilation shafts reaching for the distant sun. They were worlds designed for survival, a testament to a people seeking refuge from the perils above. Half a world away, in Japan, the vast Oya stone quarry presents a compelling parallel. An intriguing theory suggests its immense geometric caverns, a byproduct of industry, could have served a vital military purpose. This labyrinth of shadow and stone, with its staggering depth and complexity, might have functioned as an impenetrable redoubt, a network of secret passages for warriors. Such a strategy aligns perfectly with Japan's long history of leveraging the natural landscape as a tactical weapon. In the modern era, this strange and monumental space has captured the imagination of filmmakers. Martin Scorsese harnessed the quarry's haunting backdrop to evoke the rugged, unforgiving landscapes of 17th-century Japan in his film Silence, its cold stone walls amplifying the story's oppressive atmosphere. And while never a physical location for film war or art, reveal how humanity does not simply live upon the world, but inscribes its deepest fears and grandest visions directly into it.